So first off, I just want to say thank you so much for 30k on TikTok. It's absolutely crazy. I can't believe it. And thank you for 100 subs on here. We just hit it today. So I am very, very grateful. Thank you all for following, and I just want to share my gratitude for that first off. So, as you read by the title, your brain is a muscle, and I'm going to teach you how to train it like you would in the gym. So starting off, we've got to understand why we need this. Why do we need our brain to be strong? Why do we need this to happen? Because you will not get what you want to get if you don't strengthen your brain. It has to be your beliefs, your emotional control, your impulse control, everything has to be trained and strengthened. And in this video, I'm going to tell you how to do these things. So first off, with your emotional intelligence and emotional control, you need to stop running from the pain, the discomfort, the anger, the sadness, the inner temptations to exert your emotions. You need to just sit down in silence with your own thoughts and sit with it. They will dissipate quite a lot quicker and more pleasantly than you would possibly believe. And this part, you doing this, strengthens that part in your brain that is responsible for controlling emotions. So if you get this done, you will have a very, very easy time with all the problems in your life. And the reason why is because when you have a problem with your money, and it's a lot bigger problem than anything you've ever had. So you're running a business and you're trying to do something exponential, and there's a huge issue with your money. Your business is on the line, millions about to go to your bank account. If you don't have the emotional intellect and the emotional strength to sit with your emotions during that time and work your way through it, you will crumble, full stop. The business will go under and you will turn to something else. That is why you need to strengthen that muscle. So you do it by repeatedly exposing yourself to not distracting yourself when you notice that you are not in a pleasant emotional state. That's how you do it. And embracing and sitting with pleasant emotions. Allow yourself to sit and bathe in a really, really good feeling. Now, on to the next thing is dopamine circuiting. So what this has done over years of time, which is why you think about success, you imagine it, you love it, but you have got nothing in reach of it. And the reason for this is because your dopamine circuiting is for short-term gratification and not for long-term. Because your brain has now been wired that way because you are exposing yourself to short-term gratification constantly. The phone, everything. Luckily with this video, because it's so unstimulating, undistracting, and I'm literally just talking with no cuts, no edits, no nothing, and it's long form content, you're going to be lifting while you're learning. You're going to be strengthening that part of your brain whilst learning about how to strengthen it, which is why this is good for you. So anyway, as I continue on to what we were saying about the brain, you need to strengthen the discipline. You need to cut off the short-term gratification. Do a detox and then minimize how much you're exposing yourself to it. Set limiters, timers, everything. If you don't do this, you will not be able to build on anything. Literally nothing. It's because your brain just will not crave doing something for the long term. It won't be able to see the wins in the future, and it's just constantly seeking immediacy. Yes, your brain's been wired that way, and yes, it's because you were exposed to it a lot when you were young and you've continued throughout all these years, but you can unwire it. Again, the answer to that is repetitions. Repeatedly expose yourself to long-term gratification and repeatedly expose yourself to no short-term gratification. Then, moving on to the third thing, which is belief. You need to reinforce the belief that you are worth it, that you respect yourself, and that you will make it, and that you can do anything you want to do. You do have to be delusional in order to get exactly what you want. That is the dead-on truth. You need to reinforce that belief into your brain. And again, the answer is repetitions. You need to repeat this into your brain, and then soon your automatic reaction to things will be, oh, I can do this, it's fine, I got this. It won't be, oh, I can't do it, and then your mind gets stunned. And the reason why this is so important is because your brain follows what you believe. It follows what your thoughts, expectations of everything is. And the science behind this neuroscience is your reticular activating system, which is a part of your brain that takes in 1% of data when there's 99% left of perceptual data around you, your senses. It only takes in 1%, and that 1% is based on what it thinks is important, what it believes to be true. And that's why you need to work on your beliefs, because what this does is like a pathfinder, it's like a GPS. If you have those beliefs that I think this and that will happen, it will start searching for it. It will literally start creating pathways in order for you to reach exactly what you believe, because your brain is relatively narcissistic and it wants to be right. It only cares about itself. It's not in anyone else's brain, and it wants to be right. Of course, you do care and have empathy for other people, but that's because it wants to feel good about itself. That is the truth. It wants to be right regardless of what it believes. If you believe that you're not worth it, it will want to prove it to itself, because the brain would rather be right than to be good and happy. That's the truth. It would rather just survive and be right rather than anything else, because then it's scarce and then it's uncertain. And that's why changing your brain is really hard, because your brain doesn't like change. It doesn't like being unpredictable. It doesn't like not knowing what's going to happen next and having this big inconsistent change, because you're now changing your identity, which means you're changing your actions, your thoughts, your beliefs, everything going on around you, your perceptions. They are now being rewired, and that's just because it puts its survival at risk. But what your brain doesn't understand is that it's not in danger anymore. We have houses. There aren't loads of things in our evolution like dinosaurs trying to eat us or anything. We are typically safe now for as many years as we can go forward with. So you do need to understand that this is foundational knowledge. You need to repeat these beliefs in your head in order to actually start working on them. And you need to do it over and over and over again. And the neuroscience behind most of the stuff I've been saying so far is that your synapses are wired one way. Oh, I don't believe in myself, I can't do it, no one else has done it, so I can't. All of this, and that's why your automatic reaction when you mess up or everything is it goes, ha, I was right, you aren't worth anything. And then it keeps going down this one synapse, and it gets used to that. It gets used to those thought processes, that is the negative, and the negative perception of the world around you and yourself. And that's why you need to change the wiring of it in order to put yourself on the right track towards success. So the next thing is that you need to train it like you're in the gym. These domains that I've spoken about already, you need to do just repetitions and repetitions of, over and over and over again. No, it won't be a straightforward path. There will be days where you just get caught in that spiral that's negative. But just remind yourself, when you're in this negative spiral, you need to say these things to yourself. I'm not just saying them, for the sake of it. You need to say to yourself, this is a journey of where I'm changing the way I think of things, and it's not going to be straightforward, and just keep at it, because I promise you it's worth more than anything. If you think that I thought of this way about everything around me now and for my entire life, you're wrong. I'm still on this journey, but I'm just saying that I've been at that point where you look at everything in a negative way, you look at yourself in a negative way, and then actually it starts manifesting into reality, and it ends up going against my phone. Run out of data, so we're back. And what I was saying was, with your thought processes, they lead you to where you're going to get. Everything around you, look around you right now, that guitar behind me, that curtain, the house, the bed, every single one of these things was a thought. The first thing it was a thought. And that's why I talk about thoughts are so important, because if your thoughts are working against you, then your reality will work against you. And that's why you have to think positively and in favor of yourself, because when you don't, it does literally neuroscientifically manifest into something that works against you, which is why you have to change the way you think in order to get what you want. Because if you're like, oh, I'm never going to get it, and then you still then sit there and wait around for it, you're never going to get it. That's the truth. You just won't. And when I say like, oh, if you change the way you think, you'll get whatever you want, it does require action, but the thing is, the action actually ends up happening. You end up doing what you were supposed to do in order to get it, because you have a clear and distinct idea of what you want, and then you start training your brain in the areas in order to desire it, believe it's going to get it, and then get it. And that's why belief is so important, because if you really believe you're going to get what you want to get, this part of your brain wants to prove that it's right. So it ends up putting you on the subconscious path of actions. And the reason why training your brain like this is so important is because 95% of your actions are subconscious. So you are relying on what your brain thinks, believes of the reality around itself and its own self in order to get what you want, which is why you need to put the right inputs in it. I say this a lot, but imagine it's like an AI. When you put the prompt in and you tell it, you are this and you are that, it then acts those things out. Your brain works the exact same way. It's not any different. When you put those mental prompts in, this is who you are, this is your identity, it then acts those things out subconsciously, which is why you've got to strengthen those parts where it's positive, so you end up acting out positive things for yourself. And if you want respect from other people and you want validation from other people, that only ever comes once you start giving the validation to yourself. And that's why you have to go after it for yourself and do it for you. And those come as a byproduct. But then the external validation when you actually respect yourself doesn't matter anymore, because you actually start caring about what you think and who you are, and you treat yourself, and this is going to motivate you about doing this whole brain training thing, is that when you need to treat yourself as virtuously as you treat other people. Why do you think you can compliment other people but you can't compliment yourself? That is stupid. You deserve a compliment as much as someone else does. And that's what you've got to keep locked in your brain. Start respecting yourself if you want to be able to get what you want in life.